The man I'm about to meet now has more cool than just about any other human being on the face of the earth. John Christopher Depp II, or Johnny Depp as he's better known to his legion of fans and admirers, is so cool, well, frankly, it's almost physically painful for me to talk about him. But you know, the coolest thing about Johnny Depp, the one cool thing over and above the many great movies he's made and the way he looks on camera, the coolest thing of all is the fact that he really couldn't care less about being cool. Now, that's cool. Johnny, I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me. Let's talk, if we can, about John Christopher Depp II when he was a young man.
All right.
Before he came from Florida over here to Los Angeles. Quite a long haul. I believe you were occasionally in trouble at school, that you were an extreme character. Is that correct?
No. No, I mean, I wasn't in a lot of trouble. It just didn't work so well for me, you know, as it works for others. I didn't feel particularly comfortable. I didn't feel inspired to learn much.
And where are we talking about here? Where actually did you grow up?
This is Miramar, Florida.
Small town?
Very small.
What kind of size are we talking here? I mean, big stores, plenty of things to do, or?
No, we're talking about, you know, like a grocery store, a couple of grocery stores, a couple of drug stores, a card and gift shop, you know, a bakery.
So it's a real small town America.
Kind of, yeah.
What kind of things then did, as a young person growing up, when you're going through your wilder years, what kind of things do you do to enjoy yourself?
Oh, we used to do crazy things, you know, like, you know, blow fire, stuff like that.
Blow fire?
I lit my head on fire once doing it.
You have to be really quite bored to get
Yeah,
to...
bored and stupid. Stupid goes away. It's a kind of a combination.
So that's behind you now.
Yeah, it's all behind me.
But that must have scared the life out of your parents, didn't it?
They didn't know at the time. I told them I got too close to a firecracker or something.
So then you moved eventually with a band, I believe. Was that the Kids?
Yes.
And you came here to Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Hoping to make it big as a band member?
Yeah, you know, we wanted to be able to make a living doing that, playing music and stuff. So we came here in search of the big record deal, and it wasn't around. It wasn't around like it is nowadays. A lot of people get signed these days. If you don't have to be that great to get signed these days.
It's more now. Is that a bitter old man talking there, or do you think genuinely that is the case?
Well, it's always a bitter old man talking. I always speak as a bitter old man. But no, I just think that today the music, everything's so kind of confused. It's like it's just a big bowl of soup. And it seems today a lot more people get signed based on their haircuts and stuff, as opposed to what kind of noise they make.
Presumably, though, I mean, it's kind of turned out okay for you anyway, without the signing.
It's been all right, yeah.
What about the acting then? So your first film part, was it, there were two films I've heard about. One was Nightmare on Elm Street, which I've seen you, and the other one was Private Resort, which I haven't seen.
At the time, I was in the band, and I got this offer to make Nightmare on Elm Street, and I thought, well, you know, I'll make this movie, I'll make some money, and support this, you know, music and stuff like that. And the same thing with Private Resort. It was like, it didn't make any, I didn't care. Really.
It wasn't a project which you had long to do?
No, I didn't really, I mean, acting and none of that's the movies, acting, any of that stuff I didn't care about it.
But presumably, sometime around there you decided, well, this is fun and I would like to do this, and I could...
Yeah, after that the band broke up, and I didn't want to go through the process of starting another band and doing all that whole thing. Didn't feel right without those guys, so I just figured, well, I'll just continue this acting thing, and started studying and did the whole thing.
Do you ever have the feeling that maybe, well, one day this will end and you will then have to find a proper job?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that possibility. This could all go away, but it's still basically, you know, stepping in front of a camera, making a few faces, doing some goofy stuff, and then they cut.
So it still beats working
and you
for
get
a
paid
living.
for it. Yeah, you get paid for it. So.
Now, well, let's, if we're doing a kind of chronological thing, let's look after the first two movies, then Jump Street came about, 21 Jump Street, the big series, which what you did for 4 years?
4 seasons, so yeah, 3 years.
And this was something which, although it brought you immense fame and stardom and attraction, you appear to have hated with a violent passion.
Yeah, I did hate it.
curious situation to be in.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing that happens. I think it probably happens all over the world. You sign your name to a piece of paper, and suddenly someone owns you. You know, they own you lock, stock, and barrel. So anything beyond that, you're in danger of being sued for amounts of money that you never even you couldn't figure out by drawing them on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of zeros. So basically, I was stuck in a situation where I had to just deal with it.
Keep churning it out.
Yeah, just deal. It's real assembly line stuff, and has nothing to do with helping people. I mean, they give you the impression initially that, this could help people, and this could do this, and it could do that, but there were a lot of hypocrites involved and stuff, and I felt like one of them, and I just didn't want to be there. You have no control over it,
How?
And they want to do, then they want to do like the whole thing, lunch boxes and stuff like that, and I couldn't.
Well, now, so what would, I'm curious as to what would have actually, I can understand to an extent, but what would have bothered you about, say, seeing your face on a lunchbox? I mean, it wouldn't be so terrible, would it?
Yeah, it would have been terrible. It would have been terrible.
But if it makes a child happy when he or she has her sandwich and her apple, it's not the end of the world, Johnny.
Well, no, it's not the end of the world by any means, but it's, I don't want to be remembered in the year 2030, for being on a lunchbox or some kid's thermos, that kind of thing. I couldn't stomach it.
So this character they were trying to portray you as, what were they saying? It was kind of a tough but tender...
They say rebel, they say teen dream, or whatever those things are,
So teen dream, moody rebel.
Exactly, brooding, that broody stuff.
But since then, the film choices you've had have, and I think very cleverly, and I wondered how shrewd you're being here, whether this is actually part of a game plan or whether it's more of a kind of instinctual thing. They've sort of distanced you quite successfully and quite remarkably from that image, from that role. But at the same time, never really alienating people who might have liked what you did in that, because they're still... They're films that you can grasp. I mean, they're complex films, but they're films which have, have a purpose over and above just kind of the kind of shooting and banging that went on in Jump Street.
Shooting and banging.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, sure. Well, what happened is doing that show and being involved in such a kind of assembly line thing, and desperate to get off of it and desperate to do the things I wanted to do, I just swore to myself that I would only do the things that I wanted to do, the films that I wanted to be in, at any cost. I mean, if it all went away, then it went away, and I would go back to whatever, pumping gas or playing guitar or whatever, So luckily, I've just been able to do those things, I mean, with whatever it is, with a lot of luck, and I've been able to work with the people I wanted to,
But if in 20 years' time they're doing, and I think I already know the answer to this, but it would just please me to hear you say it. 20 years' time they're planning the huge revival, back to the 80s, 21 Jump Street, big budget, Hollywood feature film.
Oh, like Return to Gilligan's Island?
That kind of thing, or The Addams Family, all these things they're doing now, and they're making the big feature, and they say, wouldn't it be cool, remember that old guy, Johnny Depp? He's still around somewhere. Let's see if we can find him and get him to drop a few pounds, and he could play the father of the guy he used to play.
Wow.
Would you do that?
Yeah, but I would do it. But like 20, 30 years from now? Yeah, I'd come out of the old folks' home and do that, sure. Edward Penis Hand.
Edward Penis Hand. There is a pornographic parody.
Edward Penis Hand.
And have you seen these films?
I've seen Edward Penis Hands too.
and was it better than the original? Or?
I didn't see the brilliantly done. I thought the guy did a great job. I thought some of the actresses did a fine job.
Yeah. And
all the way around. I mean,
marvelous special effects, I've been told.
Incredible special effects. The director picked some nice shots. He knows when to go in for the close-up. He knows when to back up. Keeps the camera moving.
Let me ask you about your disgraceful habit of smoking profusely, whenever and wherever possible.
Yeah.
What kind of volume are we talking about here? Do you keep count?
I don't really count, but I smoke too much, definitely, and it'll probably kill me. I'm quite happy and comfortable being disgraceful. No, I mean, it's obvious that it's not good for you and stuff like that. We all know that, but I mean, if people choose to smoke, they should be able to smoke.
Now, I've never smoked. Yeah. I'm not saying this... No.
There you go.
Yeah, well,
come on.
That would be lovely. But what is it about it, then? What does it do for you? I mean, because I tried it once, and it was an uncomfortable burning sensation.
It's well, a lot of things are uncomfortable burning sensation.
Oh, and you don't go back and do them again?
Well, some people do.
Some people do.
It's good. I don't know. I don't know what it's a drug addiction. I mean, it's nicotine, it's a drug, and I'm addicted to it.
But is cancer something? I mean, presumably there's a higher chance, I would have thought, of you getting cancer than I. Although
Yeah.
sitting this close to you during the interview, I suppose I've blown my chances anyway.
You're filled with it now.
Well, that was the lamest excuse in the world. Whenever people say that to me, they say, well, you know, I could get one over them all. But if you went out and saw a man coming at you with a machete, you'd duck. Right? And when you cross the road,
What if you would?
presumably...
I mean, well, maybe you would, you know, but maybe, what if you didn't see the machete?
Maybe you would.
Maybe you would. Maybe, you know, maybe you might not. You might want to see what it's like to have your head chopped off. You never know. You never know.
I'm a kind of a scrawny, sort of a skinny guy, but I'm a huge woman. A massive woman, somehow. I don't know how that happens. It's given me a profound respect for transvestites, because what they have to do is you know, they have to, it's an illusion. They have to hide things.
What's the most difficult thing, then, when you're dressing up and you're trying to look, presumably you're trying to look feminine?
The most difficult thing was, you know, hiding parts.
We're back to this again.
Yeah, that was the most challenging. And then there's a kind of a, you know, there's a sort of a Nelson Mandela thing at the, you know, at the end. There's a sort of a Free Willy type thing.
Of course, which is very appropriate in England, where Willy does really mean.
Exactly.
Your relationship with the press, because they've written about you as moody rebel in the past, and at the moment you are the coolest man in, I think, the universe.
Oh, wow, because I thought this week I was the worst dressed.
But that was the impression I got from reading, and I was just...
I keep up on all these things. I want to know, because they mold my future. I want to know, you know. There was one story I read in one of those magazines that I thought was hysterical, and it was about, it was about me and Madonna, that I had flown to Miami, got off the plane, went over to her house, ripped my shirt off. We started, you know, slobbering on each other, apparently, and then the static, but the electricity between us was so intense, we jumped in the pool and all the lights went out.
And what part of it wasn't true, Johnny?
Well, I didn't rip my shirt off.
Okay. And then, of course, you had a relationship with Winona Ryder, spectacular actress, and a fabulous-looking woman. And this was made to be incredibly public, and I wondered whether that was something which you had anticipated, or whether that took you by surprise and made you unhappy.
Well, I just didn't... what happened was, I mean, you know, here I met this girl, and we get together, and we like each other, and we fall in love, and bing, we're together, and it's official. And then the next thing you know, it just becomes... that becomes the focus of the press and of people, and people are more concerned about your relationship than they are about the work that you're doing. So it doesn't become about the work anymore. It becomes about who you're hanging out with and how many times a day you know...
Hang out with them.
Become horizontal, you know.
So in future, then, would you keep... you'd be more guarded about people you're seeing and what you're up to in your private life?
Well, I've always tried to, you know, keep that, you know, low-key, but... it doesn't... I've come to realize that it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're with someone or not. I mean, they're going to write about something either way. I mean, every person I've made a film with, every girl I've made a film with, you know, they've assumed that I was having you know, this huge love affair with, which is not true. But that's what they write, you know.
Is there a
so it doesn't matter.
But is there a fun side to it? Do you sometimes read that stuff and think, well, I'm kind of pleased that they assume that of me? Let me ask you one final thing then. This is one of those big end of the interview questions, which is, how would you choose to be remembered?
How would I want to be remembered? I don't think I would want to be remembered. Maybe if I'm remembered, maybe just put a pig's feet, you know, a pig's foot on my grave or something once I'm dead, you know.
It's a quote from a song, I believe.
Yeah, pig's foot. It was a pig foot and a bottle of beer. So that would be probably pretty good.
Not a big ambition, but a telling one. Thanks for your time, and good luck with the movie.
Thank you.